persuade me. They can't hold me. They can't fold me. They don't phase me. They can't persuade me. Shine a light. He about to reveal everything in the dark. Shine a light. He about to expose everything in the dark. Shine a light. He about to reveal everything in the dark. Shine a light. You about to see them demons in the dark. They think they slick. They don't believe that me crazy. Open the closet. Watch them demons slide out like they skiing. They answer every call like a hotline when it's ringing. See that wicked, it's a melody. They love to hear it singing. They don't resist, they don't believe in making a switch. That's what the devil, they give them a kiss. They believe he can grant them every wish, but he just leading them down to the pit. He give them a deal to think that they rich, to poison the people they already sick. Heaven and hell, make the right pick. If you going to hell, it's already lit, it's already lit for them. Heaven and hell, make the right pick, it's already lit for them. Lit, it's already lit for them. If you going to hell, it's already lit, it's already lit for them. They can't hold me, they can't fold me, they don't phase me, they can't persuade me, they can't hold me, they can't fold me, they don't phase me, they can't persuade me. Shine a light, he about to reveal everything in the dark. Shine a light, he about to expose everything in the dark. Shine a light, he about to reveal everything in the dark. Shine a light, you about to see them demons in the dark. Yeah. Levels of self, levels of pleasure, levels of their own sin. Hiding it in the dark, acting like nobody can see them. Yeah, we know you lustful when you slide in the DMs. Trying to get with Shawty and you still with your BM. No, she ain't innocent, she full of sin too. Jumping from brew to brew. This is not skipping my loot. Hey, look, this a fair warning. Acting like you doing a father's business, but you whoring. Damn, just had a vision. It was clear. They hide behind the father's word, so they sin on a pier. They use their status and position to present themselves as pure. Death angel hunting season. You look like a blind deer. Look, the father's eyes 1,000 times brighter than the sun. He got the purge with fire. He ain't talking about a gun. Ain't no gun. You gon' get it now like a state. You well done. Coming like a thief in the night. They can't hold me. They can't fold me. They don't phase me. They can't persuade me. They can't hold me. They can't fold me. They don't phase me. They can't persuade me. Shine a light. He about to reveal everything in the dark. Shine a light. He about to expose everything in the dark. Shine a light. He about to reveal everything in the dark. Shine a light. You about to see them demons in the dark. Yeah.
Hey, Shalom, Shalom. Want to say Kahala, Yahweh, Bashem Mashiach, Yahweh Shai, all praises to the Most High. All right, we know Cap Nations of Kings and Priests. We're coming at you with a lesson today on the Feast of Purim for those celebrating this week. All right, all praise to the Most High. We at the end of the Hebrew calendar, getting ready to start the new calendar, right? So it's coming. Passover, we have it in the beginning of April, so all praise to the Most High. It's a great feast, man. So we about getting ready, to get it in for the new year. However, as we start going into the end of the year, we have these also feast days. So ours is coming in this weekend. So I want to do a quick lesson on the Feast of Purim and the forever war with the Edomites, right? And we're going to go through some scriptures to get some understanding on not only the understanding about Purim, but also about our forever war with the Edomites. So very important stuff for you to understand. And this is the type of classes that we're going to go ahead and continue to do, because it's important to not only know who you are, but you also need to understand how to serve the Most High and also know who your enemy is. Because yes, Israel, you got enemies, right? So let's go ahead and get started, right? Let's go ahead and start. We got a lot of scriptures to go to. I got a lot of reading to do. And if y'all know me, I am not a good reader, but all praise to the Most High. We do what we can. You know what I'm saying? So, first, we're going to start off in the book of Genesis, right? We're going to understand who Amalek is. Amalek. All right. Y'all probably heard of him before. Let me make this a little bit bigger for y'all because if this is small for me, I know this is very small for you. All right. Let me know if this is okay, if y'all can see the scripture. But this is Genesis, the 36th chapter. All right. So let's understand who Amalek is. Who is he? What's his bloodline? All that stuff, right? So we're going to start Genesis. Now, understand that the the lineage of the nationalities in the Bible, right, are forever. However, Esau's is for a certain period of time. And in the book of Esdras, it says that that Esau is the end of this world, and Jacob is the world that followeth. Last I checked, this is not the world of Jacob, as you can see all the evil that's going on in the world today. So if Esau's still ruling today, that means he's still here. Okay. So that's simple logic, right? So if it's simple logic that Esau is still here, guess what? He's ruling and he has a nationality. All right. Now, who is he? This is the book of Genesis, chapter 36 and verse 1. Now, these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Okay. Jump down to verse 9. And it says, and these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. Okay. These are the names of Esau's son, Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau, Reuel, the son of Bashima, the wife of Esau. Okay, so now we see the wives. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman. You're going to see Teman a lot in the scripture, especially when you read Job, when you read Genesis, you see Teman a lot. Teman is a son of Esau, all right? Omar, right? Zepho, Gataman, and Kamatz. And Timan, the concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare Eliphaz Amalek. You see that? Okay. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. Okay. Let me jump down to verse 16. Duke Korath, Duke Gadamoth, Duke Amalek. These are the dukes that came out of Ephesus in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Adah. Okay. So understand that the Amalekites or Amaleks or the Amalekites are from the lineage of Esau. Okay. Let's go to another scripture, the book of Exodus. All right. The books of the Salakia, book of Exodus. I don't want chapter 12. I want chapter 17. And we're going to start at verse 8. Y'all all right out there? Y'all can see my screen. Y'all can hear me okay? All right, let me do one of these with y'all. All right, what's this? Let me do one of these with y'all. All right, y'all out there? All praises, all praises. Okay. So this is the book of Exodus, chapter 17 and verse 8. Then came Amalek and fought with Israel in Remlith. And Moses said unto Joshua, choose us out men and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand. Okay, so now you can see this is like mean business, right? So this is going to war with Amalek. Verse 10. So Joshua did as Moses had said to him, and did what? Fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it came to pass that when Moses held up his hand, that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. You see that? Lay down his hand, meaning we let him loose. We gave him room. Okay. All right. Verse 12. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and they put it under him, and he sat thereon, and Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the other side, and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua discomforted Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. Okay. And the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book. So now this is the Lord speaking to Moses, saying, you need to write this in a book as a what? A memorial. All right. Watch this. And do what? Rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under the sun. Last I checked, the Lord keeps his promises, man. Last I checked, the Lord does what he does, man. Last I checked, if the faith that we have says that Amalek is going to be destroyed according to the Bible. Okay? Verse 15. And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Yahweh, for he said, because the Lord has sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. That means forever, y'all. That means forever. So now we understand that this is a mortal enemy unto the children of Israel, unto the sons of God. Okay. And a mortal enemy for the Lord. Okay. Now let's go to the book of Numbers. Go to the book of Numbers, chapter 24, and we're going to start at verse 20. All right. This is the book of Numbers, chapter 24, and verse 20. And he looked on Amalek. He looked up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of all nations, but his latter end shall be that he shall perish forever. Now, when it says first, it's only talking about the first nations that came against us. Okay. In addition, it says shall that he that shall be perished forever. Okay. And he looked on the Canaanites and took up this parable and said, strong is thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy neck in a rock. Nevertheless, the Canaanite shall be washed until ashore shall carry thee away captive, meaning Assyria. And he took up the parable and said, alas, who shall live when God does this? And the ship shall come from the coast of Chinnam, and shall afflict Ashur, and shall afflict Eber, and he also shall perish forever. And Balaam rose up and went and returned to his place, and Balak also went to his place. So this is a prophecy about Amalek. Understand this, okay? Watch this. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 25 and verse 17. And it reads, remember Amalek did unto thee by the way when ye were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way and smote the hindmost of thee, even all they that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not God. Now, meaning he attacked us when we were coming out of Egypt. That's a crazy part too. Like y'all talking about all these Gentiles that came to us from Egypt that were saved. What about when Amalek attacked us? How about them? I guess, I guess they don't count, right? But anyways, um, verse 19. Therefore it shall be when the Lord thy God have given thee rest from thy enemies round about in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, and thou shalt not forget it. Understand, this was supposed to be so. Okay? Let's go to the New Testament. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. Understand who these guys say that they are. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Now, when it says synagogue of Satan, that means they got a church. That means they have a dwelling place that they have. They have rituals in that place. They have paganism rituals in that place. If you notice the cultures that they push are the exact opposite of what the children of Israel push. Okay. And that's not a coincidence at all. Hashatan in the Hebrew translated is adversary. The adversaries of the sons of God are going to be the adverse or the opposite, right, of the sons of God. So they have to have a opposite, a positive, a negative. There's a positive side, there's a negative side. Esau's the end of this world, and Jacob is the beginning that followeth. Y'all understand? All praises, all praises. Okay. Um, Amalekite. Let's go to the book of additions to Esther. Y'all keep teaching well, these false doctrines, man, um that the Edomites are Arab. That is a damn lie. Here's one. Here's a scripture to let you know about. Look at this. Additions of Esther. Oops, I'm in the wrong tab. Share this one instead. Okay, all praises. This is the book of Additions of Esther, chapter 16. I'm gonna start at verse 1. Okay. And the the great king Xerxes unto the princes and the governors of 170 and 20 provinces from India unto Ethiopia, and of all the faithful subjects, greeting. So this is what? A letter, right? Now let's jump down to verse 10. Watch this. For Ammon, the what? The Macedonian, the son of Amath. You see that? Being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood, okay, and a far distant from the goddesses of the strangers that receive verse. So now, who else was a Macedonian in the? This is history, okay? Watch this. First Maccabees, First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened after Alexander, son of Philip, the what? The Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, that had smitten Darius the king of the Persians, of the Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the what? The first over Greece. Now, when you look up Macedonian, that goes back to the Grecians, and that goes back to who? the Amalekites, who are what? Edomites. Okay? So I don't want to hear no Arab. Esau's the Arab. Man, look, that's dead. Okay, that is absolutely dead. If you believe, okay, if as a matter of fact, it's the battle of Esau. There's a battle of Esau right now gonna happen. Okay, if you think it's the white man, if you think it's the Arab man, there's a battle right now. If Esau's ruling the world, who's gonna win? Okay, okay, all right, all right, all right. From there, let's go to the book of Esther. All right. So now we're going to Salaki, no. Let's go to the book of Samuel. First Samuel. First Samuel. First Samuel 15. Now y'all talk about uh First Samuel 15 and verse 1. Watch this. Samuel also said unto Saul, the Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken thou unto my voice of the words of the Lord. Okay? So now we're going to kind of understand what he means here. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember which Amalek did to Israel. This is what we read. How he laid a wait for him that in the way when he came up from Egypt. Now go and what? Smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. Yes, this is the Lord of the Bible. This is the God of the Bible. It also says that the God of the Bible is a man of war. Okay? And he will do what he needs to do. Okay? So he says to utterly destroy Amalek. Okay? Let's jump down. Let me see. Let's jump down to verse 8. Verse 8. And he took Agag, the king of the what? Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. You see that? But Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and the oxen and the fatlings and all the lambs and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, but everything that was vile and refused that they destroyed utterly. So he did not want to destroy. He liked the riches. Okay. He liked all that. So unfortunately, he did not kill Amalek. And we see today, for those who have ears to see and ears to hear and eyes to see, you will see today why that should have happened in those times. Nonetheless, this is all in the doing of the Lord, right? And that day shall come. Before we go there, let's jump back to Esther. Okay. Let's go to Esther. And I want chapter 2. Okay. Chapter 2. And we'll just start at the top and then we'll kind of take it from there. Okay. Let me see. Okay. All praises. All praises. So this is the book of Esther, chapter 2 and verse 1. After these things, when the wrath of the king Artaxerxes was appraised, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king. So this was a a decree for, young virgins to be around the king. And let the king appoint officers in all provinces of his kingdoms, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shoshan the palace, to the house of the woman, unto the custody of Heg, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things be purification be given them. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti, and the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Now Hashan, the place where the certain Jew, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Ajar, the son of Shammai, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, okay, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jericho, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, have carried away. And he brought up Hadash, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. And that's a law. If you look into the law, you'll notice that um, we would take up, daughters and children's of our own, of our families, who either passed away or for whatever reason were killed, or for whatever reason we would take them up. Okay. Um, verse 8. Verse 8, yeah. Verse 8. So it came to pass when the king's commandment and decree was heard, when the many maidens were gathered together unto Shohan the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she ordained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification. With such things he belonged to her, the seven maidens which were meet to be given to her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women. So there, obviously, this is as women, and he preferred them over the other women, right? And made her, kind of like over a leader over the women that he chose. Okay, verse 10. Esther had showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had changed her that she should not show it. So she disguised herself. Okay, verse 11. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should come of her. Now, when every maid's turn was come to go into King Xerxes, after she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the women, for so were the days of their purifications accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil and myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors and other things of purifying of the women. When these came, every maiden unto the king, whosoever she desired, was given to go out of the house of the women into the king's house. And in the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned unto the second house of the women, to the custody of Shadagaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came into the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name. Now then, as that now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abiel, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go up into the king, she required nothing but that Haggai, the king's chamberlain, and the keeper of the woman's appointed, and Esther ordained favor in the sight of them that looked upon her. Meaning she was like, boom, she was like something to look at, like they were like, oh, that's her, man. You know what I'm saying? Like She really, really looks good, you know? Yeah. Um, verse 17, and the king loved Esther above all women, and she ordained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Man, she straight took that spot, you know? Straight took it, man. Okay. So now he made her queen. Then the king made great feast unto the princes and the servants, even Esther's feast, and made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together in the second time, when Mordecai sat at the king's gate, Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor their people as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. So she obeyed him as much as possible. Okay. Um, verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan, Tarish, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on King Xerxes. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it to Esther the queen, and Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when the inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out, therefore they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the chronicles of the king. So basically, he found out about, you know, this plot to kill the king, and then boom, man, those dudes got hung, right? They got hung, man, right? Uh, so now we at chapter 3. Okay, chapter 3. As a matter of fact, we're going to, yeah, let's do that. Chapter 3. Oh, you know what? Let's go to the Editions of Esther. Editions of Esther. Salaklia. Editions of Esther. All right. Editions of Esther, chapter 12. So you can get more idea. Now, the editions of Esther are in the Apocrypha. And what this basically does, it gives you a broader aspect of the story of Esther, you know? So it's cool because it gives you pieces that weren't there in Esther in the Bible, right? And it's cool because it gives it to you, but it also shines a light to more of the story. All right, it doesn't take away from it at all. It actually, like it says, it's just an addition of. So this is Additions of Esther, chapter 12, verse 1. And Mordecai took his rest in the court of Gabath and Tarath, the two eunuchs of the king, and the keepers of the palace. And he heard their deuces, and searched out their purposes, and learned that they were out, and laid hands on Xerxes the king, and so certified the king of them. Then the king examined the two eunuchs, and after that they had confessed, they were strangled. So understand that, you know, when they confessed to they were gonna, murder the king. That's how they got unalived. Verse 4. Then the king made a record of these things, and Mordecai also wrote thereof. So the king commanded Mordecai to serve in the court, and for his rewarded of him. You see that? So because of what Mordecai did, he was rewarded. Okay. And we didn't read that in Esther, right? Now watch this. Howbeit Aman, the son of Amaziah the Agagite. Remember, the Agagite is is an Amalek. Okay, so Ammon is an Edomite. Howbeit the Ammonite son of Adabias the Agagite, who was in great honor with the king, sought to molest Mordecai and his people because of the two eunuch kings. So Ammon was the one who plotted against the king that he was serving, and Mordecai found out. So now Ammon, he can't stand Mordecai, right? Like a whole plot thing happening, right? All praises. Let's go back to Esther chapter 3. Okay. Esther chapter 3. All right. Hopefully you can see my screen. If you cannot see my screen, all right. All praises. All right. All praises. All right. This is Esther chapter 3 and verse 1. After these things did King Xerxes promote Haman, the son of Hamadiah the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and revered Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, because Mordecai already knew, bro, you was slithering fool, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna bow down. I don't bow. I bow to no man. Right? Verse 3. Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said to Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Verse 4. Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, that he hearkened unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matter would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. Remember, Haman is a Amalek, okay? Edomite Amalek, all right? Remember, we didn't kill him, all right? And remember, they are from the synagogue of Satan. Thus saith the Holy Bible. All right, verse 6. And he sought to scorn and lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had shown him people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Xerxes, even the people of Mordecai. In the first month, that is, the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Xerxes, they cast pur, that is, a lot before Haman, from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is, the month of Adar. And Haman said unto the king Xerxes, there is a certain people scattered abroad that and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of the kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they must maybe be destroyed, and I would pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those who have charge of business to bring it to the king's treasuries. Man, so not only that, it's like he Haman created like a hunting ground, and those who hunted and killed us, they would pay the king. Crazy work. It's like it's like, you ever see an invasive species? They would hunt them down and they'll pay you to hunt them down. That's basically what's happening. All right. Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hamadath the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also. Do with them as seemeth good to thee. So he blessed them, man, right? Then the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, that there was written according to all that Haman had commanded, unto the king's lieutenants and to the governors that were over every province, and the rulers of every people and every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, in the name of the king Xerxes was it written and sealed with the king's ring. That means there's a stamp on it, man, right? And the letters were sent to the post unto the king's provinces to destroy and kill and to cause to perish all the Jews, both young, old, little children, women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and to take the spoils and for a prey. The copy of the writing of the commandment was given to every province, was published unto all the people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and a decree was given unto Hushashan the palace, and the king and the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Hushashan was expelled. Sorry, Salakia, perplexed. All right, let's go to chapter 4. All right. So now, as you can see, the decree came, right? The plot's there. They want to kill us and vanquish us, man. Like no other people. Like there's none of us existing anymore, right? Crazy work, crazy work. All right. Chapter 4, verse 1. And when Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud voice and a bitter cry. And it came even before the king's gate, for none might have entered the king's gate in clothes with sackcloth. And in every province whatsoever the king's commandment and his decree, there was a great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So we knew this was coming. We were mourning, because man, this is gonna be heavy, right? So we were in mourning and in praying to the Lord, right? Verse 4. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told her. And when the queen's exceedingly grieved, and she sent her raiment clothes to Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Then called Esther for Hatath, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed, and attended upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai, to know what it was and why it was. So Hattach went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that happened unto him, and of some of the money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them. Verse 8. Also, he gave him a copy of the writing and a decree that was given unto Hoshashan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go unto the king to make supplication unto him, and to make a request before her people. And Hattach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. So Mordecai said, "Look, man, go tell Esther to do something. You know, do something to either prevent this, or something, man, right?" Verse 11. Then the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know whatsoever, whether a man or woman shall come unto the king unto the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to point him to death, except such whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the kings these 30 days. And they told Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape the king's house more than all the Jews. So don't think like this ain't you either. You know, they're going to find out you're a Jew and they're going to kill you too. All right. Verse 14. For if thou, although holdest thy peace at this time, then shall the enlargement and the deliverance arise to the Jews from all the place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art to come into the kingdom for such a time as this? Verse 15. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer, go after all the Jews that are present in Oshan and fast for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go unto the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther commanded. So basically she's like, look, man, th- let's go ahead and fast and pray, not eating, not drinking, okay? And let us go. And after we do that, these 3 days, I'm gonna go speak to the king. Okay. So all praises to the Most High that we understand that in this dire time of need, they sought the Lord. Like when you're going through issues, seek the Lord, fast, pray, right? And that's what's going to get you through those times. This is an example of what they did. So they knew that this law was coming down, this decree from the king, and Mordecai said, "You know what? Yeah, bro, she's right. Let's go ahead and fast and pray." Okay, give me 1 second, y'all. Hold on. I need something. I need water. Hold on a second. Salakia, y'all. Y'all gotta forgive me. I haven't read this much in a long time. Supposed to have my reader here, but my reader stood me up today. Oh, praises to the Most High. All right, where we at? Verse or chapter 5. Okay. All right, so we got chapter 5, right? So this is Esther chapter 5, verse 1. And it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner courts of the king's house over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house over against the gate of the house. And it was so when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the courts, that she ordained favor in his sight. And the king held out Esther's the golden scepter and was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Wow, man, look, man, she must have looked really good. She looked so good. He put out his scepter, man. Mm, that's how good Esther looked. You know. All right, verse 3. Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther, and what thy request? It shall be given unto thee to the half of the kingdoms. She ain't even asked yet. He's already saying, yeah, whatever you want. I like it. That's pretty funny, man. I mean, literally, he's saying right here, he's like, He's like, what wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be given to thee, to the half of the kingdom. Oh man, like she must have looked that good. That's how good she looked. Okay. Salakia. All right. All right. Verse 4. And Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. The king said, cause Haman to make haste, and that he may do as Esther hath said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet of Esther and had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what shall thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed. And then answered Esther and said, my petition is, my request is, if I found favor in thy sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition, to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said. Verse 9. Then Haman forth that day joyful and glad, with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, he stood not up, nor moved him. He was full of indignation against Mordecai, of course, because he didn't do what he wanted Mordecai to do, right? Like, damn, look at this dude, man. This dude's right, like, right? Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called his friends and Zarish, his wife. And Haman told them the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he advanced him above the princes and the servants of the king. And Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she prepared, but myself. And tomorrow I am invited unto her also with the king. So remember, he don't know she's a Jew. Okay. Haman does not know that Esther's a Jew. So he's like, man, the queen, uh, 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 you know, she invited me to this banquet. Okay. Verse 13. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting in the king's gate. Then Zeresh his wife and his friends unto him, let a gallows made of the 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereof. Then go thou in the merry with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused a gallows to be made. So he's like, man, look, his wife recommended that he make a gallows to hang Mordecai. Okay. That was her recommendation. Let's see how that went. Okay. This is chapter 6, verse 1. And on the night, not the on that night could not the king sleep, and be commanded to bring the book of the records of the Chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told Baritha and Tarish, two of the king's chamberlains, to keepers of the doors, who sought to lay hands on the king Azarias. And the king said, what honor and dignity have been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there is nothing to be done to him. So he's like, hold on a second. This dude Mordecai helped helped basically save my life. So what reward was given out to him? And this dude said, we didn't give him anything. Mm, right? Verse 4. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman come into outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared him. Look at that, man. And all right, at the same time as he reads that Mordecai helped save his life, here comes Haman with the gallows to convince the king to hang Mordecai. Good Lord. Good night. You can imagine that. Hey, man, that's the Lord. The Lord is glorious, man. Right? The Lord is glorious, man. Like he's coming in, and as he's walking in with the gallows, right? The you know, the king is like, "Oh, this Mordecai helped save my life," and then comes Haman trying to convince him to hang Mordecai. Good Lord. Oh man. All praises to the Most High. And that's how the Lord works, man. You know? Verse 5. And the king's servant said unto him, Behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, Let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, What shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, To whom would the king delight to honor me than to myself? Man, he's just some prideful dude, man, right? And Haman answered the king, For the man whom the king delighted to honor, let the royal apparel be brought which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown and the royal set upon his head. Haman is asking for a lot, okay? Verse 9. And let this apparel be the horse delivered unto the hand of one of the king's most noblest princes, and that they may array the man withal whom the king delighted to honor, and to bring him horseback throughout the streets of the city, and proclaim before him, Thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighted to honor. Verse 10. The king said unto Haman, Make haste and take the apparel of the horse, and thou and as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew. So he said, all that you just said right now about the wearing of the crown and the giving of the horse, all that, give it to Mordecai. That sitteth upon the king's gate, let nothing fail of all that has been spoken. Then took Haman the apparel of the horse and arrayed Mordecai and brought him on horseback throughout the street of the city and proclaimed before him, Thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor. So understand, this was flipped on him. What Haman wanted to do totally flipped on him. Verse 12. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends everything that befell him, and said, His wise men and Zeresh, his wife, unto him, If Mordecai be the seed of the Jews, before who thou become to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shall surely fall before him. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains and hasted to bring Haman onto the banquet that Esther prepared. All right. All right. All right. Verse or chapter 7. We almost finished. We almost finished. Chapter 7. So the king and Haman came to the banquet of Queen of Esther the queen. And the king again, Salakia, And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be gathered. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even half of the kingdom. Then Esther, the queen, answered and said, I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and it pleased the king. Let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. All praises. For we are sold, and I am my people to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if it been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. So she's asking for her life and her people's life of her nation. Okay. Verse 5. The king Xerxes answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and the enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of his wine in his wrath, went up to the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. So he already was like, man, I'm about to die. Right? Verse 8. Then the king returned out of the place and the garden and the banquet wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed wherein Esther was. And then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in my house? As the word out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. On harbor, one of the chairmen said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who said, or Slack, who had spoken good before the king, standing in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath uh, pacified. Man, so the gallows that they prepared for Mordecai, he was hanged on it. Haman was hanged on it. Okay, man, woo, that was crazy. So now watch this. This is chapter 8. Chapter 8. On that day did the king Xerxes give the house of Haman, the Jews' enemies, unto Esther the queen, and Mordecai came before the king. For Esther had told what he had done her. And and the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. So now he is a king over his province. Okay. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews. Because remember, that law is still there. The law of killing all the Jews are still there. Okay. Verse 4. Then the king held out a golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in thy sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written in reverse the letters diversed by Haman and the son of Hamaka the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in the king's province. Verse 6. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people, or How can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? I wish we all felt that today. Salakia. Verse 7. Then King Xerxes said unto Esther, the queen, and Mordecai, the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hung upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Write ye for the Jews, as it liketh you in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For it is written which is written in the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring. May no man reverse. Then the king's scribes called that time the third month, that is the month of Sivian. On the third and 20th day thereof, it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and the lieutenants and the deputies and the rulers in the provinces are all from India into Ethiopia, 127 provinces, unto every province according to that is written, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writings and according to their language. And it wrote King Xerxes the name and sealed it with the king's rings, and sent the letters in the post on horsebacks and riders, on mules, camels, and on dormiges, wherein the kings granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together and stand their lives to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and the province that would assault them, with little ones and women's to take the spoil for a prey. Upon one day in all the provinces, King Xerxes, namely upon the 13th day of the 20th month, which is the month of Adar. The copy of the written and the commandment was given to every province and published unto all the peoples, and that the Jews should be ready against the day of to avenge themselves on their enemies. So he could not rewrite the law. The law was written, but what he did do is he said the Jews are allowed to defend themselves, and they could kill if they have to, right? Verse 14. So the posts on the road upon the mules and the camels went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment, and the decree was given as host on the palace. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in the royal apparel, while with a great crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shoshan rejoiced and was glad. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor. And in every province and in every city, whatsoever the king's commandment and decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness and feast at that day. And many of the people of the land became Jews for fear of the Jews of them. Now, it doesn't mean that they became Jews, meaning that they did what Jews did. Okay? That's all. How do we know that? Let's continue to the next chapter, because that doesn't mean everybody's going to be a Jew. Okay? This is chapter 9 of verse 1. Now, in the 20th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day, the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution in that day, that the enemies and the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had rule over them that hated them. And the Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces, and the king Xerxes to lay hands on such that sought to hurt them, and no man could withstand them for the fear of them that fell upon all the people. And all the rulers of the provinces, lieutenants and deputies and officers of the king, helped the Jews, because of the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and great. Thus the Jews smote all the enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughtered all the destructions, and did what they would unto those that hated them. And in Shushan, the place of the Jews, and destroyed 500 men. And I'm going to jump down to verse 10. So, verse 10. Then 10 sons of Haman, the sons of Hamas, the enemy of the Jews, slew they, but on the spoil laid they not their hands. On that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan the palace was brought before the king. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shashun the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted unto thee. Or what is thy further? And it shall be done. And Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan unto tomorrow, also according unto this day's decree. And let Haman's 10 sons be hanged in the gallows. So she was like, look, we killed all these men who try to kill us. There's one more thing I need. Let's hang all Haman's 10 sons. Verse 14. And the king commanded it so be done. And it declared was given unto Hoshashan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Jews that were in Hoshashan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month of Adar, and showed 100, and they later pray unto the hands. Man, it's crazy. Crazy. Okay. But the Jews were in the king's Slakia. But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives, and had rest from their enemies, and slew of their foes 75,000. But they laid not their hands on the prey. On the 13th, Slakia, on the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Jews that were in Shushan assembled together on the 13th day of the 14th month thereof, and on the 14th day of the same they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. You see that? Therefore, the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the first month of Adar a day of gladness, feasting, and good day of sending portions one to another. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent these letters unto the Jews, that they were in all the province of the king Xerxes, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month of Adar, and the 13th day that same year, as the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and which they turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning to glad, a good day, that they should make themselves days of feasting and joy, and sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor. And the Jews undertook to do they had begun as Mordecai have written them. Because Haman, the sons of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy and to cast that is, a lot, to consume them and destroy them. But Esther became before the king to command the letters, and the wicked device which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged. So all praises to the Most High. And this is wherefore they called these days Purim, because of the name of pure, because all the words and letters that which they had sent concerning this matter, and which they have come unto death. And all praises, man. So understand that what we're celebrating today, so like my bad, what we're celebrating today is a remembrance of of what our forefathers been through, and what we're still going through today. So um, stay prayed up, continue your prayers, start calling each other. This is a time of gathering together, man. So understand this is what we got to do and what we're commanded to do. All right. There's so much division in Israel. Understand that these feast days should unite us. Okay. Understand that there's things brothers and sisters are going through that we don't understand. Pray for each other. All right. And understand that our enemies are going to be there, but there's no other. Our enemies are not greater than our God. All right. So want to give all praise, honor, glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai. We know cap nations of kings and priests. Happy feast of Purim. Shalom.